Hello again, my little 30-06 enthusiasts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we are going to be casting our ever-critical eye over another bolt-action starter army. And in our crosshairs this time is the new US Army Winter starter set. With the Americans being one of the starter factions in Bolt Action 3rd edition, I know there are going to be a lot of people interested in this starter army. Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's fix bayonets and dive right into this thing. Attention guardsmen, the Mordian Glory channel is now officially sponsored by Wargames Atlantic. Wargames Atlantic sells fantastic multi-part plastic kits which are perfect for expanding and augmenting your guard army. Not only do you get a very generous amount of models for a very impressive price point, but also they have a bulk buy discount. The more you buy, the bigger you save. And what's even cooler is they've got loads of different designs to choose from. You've got your Bulldogs, which could count as Praetorians. You've got your Lagrognards, which could count as Mordians, Kriegers, or Vestorians. But if you're looking for something a little bit more modern sci-fi, maybe you're a big Aliens fan, then check out their Ura models, which could count as Cadians or Colonial Marines. So if you like what you see, then please click the affiliate link down in the description below. It's a great way of getting yourself some new models and supporting the channel at the same time. A huge thank you to Wargames Atlantic for sponsoring the channel, and now let's get back to the video. First things first, I just want to set the scene. What am I looking for in this starter army? How am I going to judge whether it's good or bad? Well, to be honest, there's just one big thing that I'm looking at. How compatible is this with 3rd edition? Has it been designed with the new version of the game in mind? You see, there are plenty of starter sets for the Americans on the Warlord Games website already, but many of those were designed in 2nd edition, and so that game's philosophy of list building and how everything works is at the forefront of their makeup. But things are a little different in 3rd edition with how army lists are being built, what units you want to be taking, how many you want to be taking, and so I'm going to be looking at this starter army through the lens of 3rd edition and especially list building. So with that in mind, now let's get into the nitty-gritty detail and look at the models that you get as part of this box set. Firstly, we have 36 of the new multi-pose hard plastic US Army Winter Infantry. Now, straight away, this is a really solid amount of infantry for your army, and a lot of people are going to find that this is enough to start having that infantry core that many bolt action armies rely upon. Despite the fact that we can now take multiple tanks in 3rd edition, whereas we previously couldn't, you still want to have that focus on your infantry. They're still going to be doing a lot of the legwork, doing a lot of the heavy lifting, doing a lot of the objective work, and so making sure you've got enough of those bad boys is very important. Well, with 36 of them, we're definitely off to a good start. Also, it's worth mentioning that I have actually built and painted a whole bunch of these guys myself, and I can personally attest to the quality of the models and also the ease of which they build and the amount of options that you get with them. You're going to have plenty of BARs, you're going to have plenty of SMGs, rifles, and you're even going to have extra equipment like bazookas too. One more thing that I've noticed about these new winter infantry is they fit in alongside any existing American infantry that you might have absolutely perfectly. I'm currently building up a US winter army that contains a mixture of the plastic airborne models and these plastic winter infantry, and I can mix and match the squads together and they just look great. So getting this much infantry is good not only if you're a new player just starting out, but it's also going to be great if you're a veteran player looking to bulk up your armies. In addition to the plastic infantry, we have got 4 metal command models. We've got 2 officers and a medic and a radio operator. In the past, these command models were often seen as fillers because you didn't really need that many officers in your second edition armies, but in third edition you need all the officers you can get your hands on, and so getting 2 of them in this force is actually really good because it means that you have got a couple of extra platoon commanders, which inevitably you are going to need. A lot of armies I'm seeing these days are needing 2 or 3 platoon commanders straight from the get-go, and these metal models can help you do that. Of course, it is also important to note that you are going to be able to build any officer models from the plastic infantry as well if you prefer the loadouts that you can build yourself or just the poses. But either way, if you add these command models into the mix, you're getting about 40 infantry for your starter army. So far with these command models, I have focused on the officers, but it's important not to overlook the other 2, especially that radio operator. One of the big things with the Americans is that they have an air observer that can call in 2 airstrikes, unlike every other faction in the game who can only call in 1. And that radio operator model is perfect for your air observer. Traditionally, the medic model has been a bit lackluster in a lot of bolt action starter sets. Not the quality of the model, they're always really characterful poses, but their usefulness on the tabletop. However, I think with 3rd edition, medics are a little bit of a hidden gem, because you can have the natural toughness of units like veterans, combine that with cover saves, and then combine that with the medic save, you could end up with some damn durable infantry that are going to need some proper firepower to dig them out. And to be honest, even if this theory doesn't completely pan out, the medic model can still totally be used as an extra bloke in a squad. I do that all the time with the medics in my Japanese army, in my German army, and in my British army. We've looked at the infantry, we've looked at the command, but now let's get into everyone's favourite bit, the firepower. First up, we have got 3 weapon teams. We've got 2 medium machine gun teams, and we have got a medium mortar. Let's talk about that medium mortar first. It's good. It's damn good, and it's damn solid. I am a big fan of medium mortars in 3rd edition. I have found them to be the just really reliable form of HE that you need, and they're not too expensive either. Having a medium mortar is great. In the long run, you'll probably want more than one, but it's not going to be urgent, especially when you consider some of the other options that we have in this book, which we'll be getting to in just a moment. As for the medium machine guns, well, you can't go wrong with a couple of MMGs. I've used MMG squads in a few of my armies now in 3rd edition, and I've never been let down by them. They're just cheap. With a lot of machine guns getting more shots now, MMGs being able to put out 6 shots for the Americans. If you've got 2 of them, that's 12 shots. Getting all of that for 100 points, decent. It's really decent. It's a couple of dice in the bag. They're units that can hold their own. They can do good overwatch, or should I say ambush. And most importantly, if they die, it's not the end of the world. There's a lot more dice floating around in 3rd edition, so being able to throw in a few cheaper units that might get wiped out isn't the end of the world. And I say they're going to get wiped out, but they're a lot less susceptible to their usual things that hunt them, which is snipers. What I love about the American medium machine guns in this starter set is they're not coming on those big round bases. Instead, they're coming on the smaller bases, either the guys lying down or the guys standing up. This is really important because it allows you to use them in 2 ways. Either you can have them as medium machine gun teams that are in place and they're firing away, or you can very easily use them as light machine guns inside your regular infantry squads, because a lot of them can take LMGs. That covers the smaller weapon teams, but we do have another one, and it's a Big Bertha. We've got the 105mm M2A1 anti-tank gun. Now, don't be fooled by its name. This thing is not really an anti-tank gun. It is a medium howitzer. Seeing this model in the starter army is a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. It's going to give you even more HE. This is what I was talking about when I mentioned the medium mortar and how you probably want 2 of them, but it's not going to be urgent with this army. The reason it's not going to be urgent is because you've got this howitzer right here. And with it being a medium howitzer, that's actually quite punchy. It's going to have the ability to drop some pen plus 3 shots on enemy infantry, which means even veterans are going to be getting wounded on 2s. And if you do that as an indirect fire shot, they're not going to be getting any kind of save against it. Combining the medium machine gun teams with these 2 sources of HE, the mortar and the howitzer, and you have got a lot of tools in your toolbox, a lot of static fire support options that can really help lay the pain into your opponent. But what if you wanted something a little less static? What if you wanted something a bit more mobile? Well, never fear, because this starter army has got you completely covered, because you get not 1, but 2 armored vehicles in this set. And unlike with so many of the starter armies, we're not looking at 1 tank and then 1 lighter option like an armored car or a half-track. Oh, no. You are getting a Easy 8 Sherman and an M18 Hellcat. The Easy 8 is just a really solid all-round tank. It's got decent armor, it's got plenty of firepower, and with it being an Easy 8 Sherman, you actually have a heavy anti-tank gun on top there. Heavy anti-tank guns are good at dealing with tanks, but they've also got enough HE power to be a threat to infantry blobs as well. A really, really solid vehicle, and if you're a fan of the film Fury, a must-have. But the real treat, has to be said, is the Hellcat. It's one of my favorite tank destroyers of all time. I loved it ever since I saw it. And yes, I'm probably being a bit biased here, but it's only armor 7, but it's got recce. This means that if you try and shoot it, it can scoot away, possibly denying your opponent their shot. And it also comes with a heavy anti-tank gun, which, as we said, is great for dealing with enemy armor, but also fantastic for dealing with infantry thanks to it having a 2-inch blast template. Between the tanks and the artillery and the mortar, you really do have a lot of blast templates going off with the starter army, and you're not exactly short on anti-tank either. The vehicles themselves could probably handle all of your anti-tank needs, but like I said, don't forget you can build bazooka teams from the plastic infantry as well. It really does cover all of your bases. You've got armor, you've got infantry, you've got anti-tank, you've got artillery, and you've got numbers. Now, I've been gushing over this starter army, and I've been getting really into how many models you're getting, how good those different options are, but it's important to remember what I said at the beginning of the video. How does all of this work in 3rd edition? Well, the great news is that this starter army has clearly been designed with 3rd edition in mind. Firstly, you're getting 2 vehicles. That is the number of vehicles you need to form a minimum strength armored platoon. So that's great. You've also got 3 heavy weapons, and you've got one of those metal officers, which is great for a heavy weapons platoon. And you've got another one of those officers that can be used in conjunction with the artillery piece to form an artillery platoon. You will need to build one of your plastic infantry as an officer, but considering you get all the parts for that, it shouldn't be a problem. And if you do so, you'll be able to unlock the rifle platoon, and you really need that rifle platoon if you want to access the other ones. So it's definitely got 3rd edition list building in mind, and also I feel like it's got a bit of the 3rd edition meta in mind, because you're getting a lot of anti-tank in this box set. And one thing that I've noticed in my few games of 3rd edition so far is that everyone is bringing out a lot more armor. We're not getting completely spammed and overwhelmed by it, but whereas in 2nd edition you might get 1 or 2 armored vehicles you had to deal with, in 3rd edition you're looking at maybe 3 or 4 armored vehicles, and possibly even a half-track or 2 on top of that as well. So having lots of anti-tank in a starter army is great, because it means it's going to set you up for the future. And one really important thing that I haven't mentioned yet, I think this starter army is genuinely perfect for if you are coming off the Battle of the Bulge starter set. For those of you that don't know, Battle of the Bulge is a 2-faction starter set that comes with some Germans and it comes with some Americans. Also comes with the rulebook and a whole bunch of other things that you need to get playing bot action straight away. For the vast majority of people that are getting into bot action with 3rd edition, they're probably going to start with Battle of the Bulge. Either they're going to split that set with a mate, with someone taking the German half and someone taking the American half, or they're going to start with that set on their own and they're going to end up building up with one German army and one American army, so they've got one Axis, one allied force. However you slice it, this starter army is the perfect next step from the Americans in Battle of the Bulge, because in that set you get 24 of those plastic winter infantry. So in total, with that set and this one, the US Army Winter Starter Army, you would have 60 plastic infantry. And you also get a Greyhound for the Americans in that set as well, giving you 3 armored vehicles in total if you combine these 2 sets. And in my experience, 3 armored vehicles is the sweet spot. It's just enough to give you a really tasty amount of armor, a bit of a difficult problem for your opponent to deal with, but it's not so much that you've over skewed into it and you're starting to finding yourself cut corners in other areas of your list. Having an easy 8, having a Hellcat and having a Greyhound all in your army, that just feels right to me. However, if I was to level one criticism at this starter army, it's that it contains a significant amount of metal models. Your officers are going to be metal, your weapon teams are going to be metal, and your artillery is going to be metal. I personally don't mind metal models because I've worked with them since I was a kid, but I know a lot of people find that off-putting. The only thing is you just need a bit of super glue to build them. And the only reason I'm really criticizing it is because for the other starter armies we've seen, for the Germans, for example, with the veteran infantry and the Winter Fallschirmjäger, those have come with Warlord resin models instead of the metal. And the Warlord resin, it's not like your traditional resin, it's like a plastic resin mix, and it's really, really good. So I would like to see these American models be in that Warlord resin, the metal ones I'm talking about. And if that was the case, I think this would be the perfect start set. But even with those metal models, I'm still going to give this a solid 9.5 out of 10. It's the perfect jumping off point for your Winter Americans. It is the perfect way of getting into the game. If you know you're dedicated to one faction, it's going to cover all of your bases and you are going to have a really solid take all comers force from this starter set. Well, at least that's what I think. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button and also subscribe. It really does help boost the video with the old YouTube algorithm. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously, guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video. And of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.